I just find it absolutely fantastic that they're now revealing their true hand. All right?
I think you're right.
And this was what excites me. This is their true intent. The true colours are now shining. And guys, you can see now how to plan and move forward and go, yep, they've gotten so big on the ego that there is just no shame. There is nothing hidden. It's just out in the open. It's in your face.
I want to do a show today where we don't focus on shaved monkeys.
Okay.
I want to focus on this amazing, abuse of power and the fact that we're getting all of our rights taken away, mate, because you have put together a fascinating little show. And let's talk about it.
Today I'm calling it 4 Ways the Globalists Are Desperate.
And we need a top 4. I mean, that's important, mate. Okay?
Coming in, it was funny. It's funny you should say that because I was reminiscing some radio when I had to do a countdown one time, right? I had to, do all this. It was like, and at number 4 this week, dropping 2 places, and it's kind of like that.
It really
and
is.
it just struck me just before going on air, like 5 years ago, if I had known I'd be talking this way on air, right? With all this stuff, you go, you're so conspiracy theory. But the thing is, they're so blatant about it now.
Oh, they're not holding back, are they?
Out in the open. And it's like mainstream media is reporting on it. In dribs, in portions,
Absolutely.
right? You dig a deeper and you find more stuff, but it's just so blatant.
Exactly. It's not like that. Okay, before we had old Klaus Schwab doing his, Dr. Evil impersonation. Everybody, it's far away, whatever. He's just like full on going full scale Dr. Evil now. Does not care. A lot of them, you've got the Gates, mob doing their thing. You've got Bezos doing his thing. You've got Soros doing his thing. Everybody's having a crack at it. And there's just, well, at least, you know what? I fight for transparency. At least they're showing themselves, right?
At least they're being honest.
Exactly. I honestly try to take over the world. Honestly try to cover, sunlight from the earth. I honestly believe they own water. Little things like that. But you've got a top 4, so something hasn't quite made the podium.
Let's hit it off. Let's kick it off the mark, shall we? I've got some audio here where it's World Health Organization's Tedros is talking about some big announcements. So this is going back on June the 6th, thereabouts. So a couple of weeks ago, about what they're planning, what they're up to. Let's hit it now, shall we?
Okay, let's do it.
While the emergency phase of the COVID-19 pandemic is now over, investments in digital infrastructure remain an important resource for health systems and for economies and societies at large. Like many countries, the European Union made significant investments in COVID-19 certificates to help people move around as safely as possible during the pandemic. The European Union certification system was used by all 27 EU member states and more than 50 other countries. Building on the success of the EU system, WHO is proud today to launch the Global Digital Health Certification Network. So thank you so much to European Union for the excellent certification system that you have transferred to us, and we have the chance to build on it. WHO will begin operations of the network today with the existing COVID-19 certificate as a global public good. Soon after, we will expand this infrastructure by incorporating other use, such as a digitized international certificate of vaccination, routine immunization cards, and international patient summaries.
There you go, straight from the horse's mouth. That's what their intent is.
Well, this is so much more convenient, mate, than the tattoo on my wrist. This is great. Fantastic. So the World Health Organization, let's lean on that word health. They really want control of my wallet. They want control of my movement. They want control of everything. That's great. I can see how them controlling the way I spend my money is so strongly linked with my health.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head. This is control. This is what they're wanting to do. And we saw this overreach when they were putting in QR codes to enter different places to do business, to buy your groceries, to go and visit the pub, wherever you wanted to frequent.
Yep.
There was in a public space. They wanted to track that. And of course, we also know about the abuse of that information that was leaked here in Australia, that was promised to the public. We'll protect your information. We'll destroy it once it's, after 30 days, it will disappear. And of course it didn't.
No.
And we know that. Now, this is wanting to go international. Interesting things about this. Think about jurisdiction, and these are bodies that nobody's voted in. Okay, no one's elected this. Nobody's had a referendum on this to agree to this or sign up to this. This is just, hey, this is our international intent. We're going to do this, and we're excited about it. This sort of thing.
I'm glad he's excited, because I'm not really excited at the death of democracy. But call me old-fashioned.
There are countries like the United States who are going to have an interesting relationship to this. Okay, and Americans have pushed back in a big way on many fronts. It's hard to, from their perspective, if you think like an American for a moment, if that's possible. From their perspective, I have my rights, I have my freedoms.
Yep.
But where does that put them internationally when they want to travel from A to B? Now, Australians are more passive about this, we know culturally. Darn it, we'll whinge about it, and this is how we feel about it. But darn, I want to go for my holiday to wherever. I'll comply. That's the indication that the masses did.
Unfortunately, that's the Australian way, the apathy,
with the vaccinations and all that sort of thing. So this puts it in a really, really interesting space. Now, again, I'm going to say what I said some time ago when it came to the United Nations. Why is Australia still in, NATO, and it can apply to the United Nations.
Sure.
What is Australia's relationship to these organisations? We know that the former Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, was taking advice from that. He admitted it.
He did.
I played audio on that last year, that they were in consultation, and he doubled down on it and says, yes, and we're doing even more to work with them.
Sure.
So it puts into question the light. It appears that both major parties are on board with this.
No doubt.
Where does that put the rights of Australians? Now, we have no Bill of Rights in this country for
sad
citizens,
reality, really,
right?
is.
They do in the United States. And look, I don't believe personally, on a personal level, that this will go through.
Okay.
I think they will try their dandiest to do it. But it shows to me, it's the first one I want to show in terms of how they're getting desperate to control and hold power when you're seeing so many revolts go on globally, not only in the United States. We've had them in Australia.
We have.
We've had them in France. We're seeing them now starting to emerge in Ireland and the UK. Netherlands, particularly over allowing people to come over their borders. And this is the great irony. We want to control your movements, but on the other flip side of this, we'll allow how many millions across the US border? We'll allow how many millions to go into the United Kingdom? We'll allow how many millions to go into Ireland? And we're seeing these, attempts to weaken strong countries through human trafficking.
Absolutely. And that's what this is. Correct.
And so this is fascinating. It's a complete flip here.
If you weaken society, basically you're obviously pushing people down financially, creating that bigger gap between the uber rich and powerful and the rest of us plebs.
Well, there is there is a quotation from a secret society and their motto is this.
Right.
And I can't believe I'm going this direction now, but it's cause order out of chaos.
Oh, right. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like fun.
So what they do is basically let's disrupt, let's cause all this chaos, and then we will then come in and take control. And there's nothing like, I think Hillary Clinton once said, there's nothing like a good crisis to never let a good crisis go to waste.
We do know what a humanitarian Hillary is, so there's no issue there. I'm going to bring Travis in on this. Can you get us on the Zoom, mate?
Yeah, you can. So there's a couple of things that I find really interesting. Am I getting echo?
You are breaking up a little bit, mate. Yep.
No, that's because I was getting a heap of echo on my side. So one thing that both of you guys have missed out at the moment is, especially if, let's say, we decide that we want to do something like, say, bypass our constitution with something called the voice. Let's say the UN negotiates directly with the new Aboriginal authority, whoever that is, who can write up their own laws. What's to stop them from creating something without our consent?
There's absolutely nothing stopping them. I mean, they've basically overridden the constitution of this country.
Exactly. So how do we know that this isn't going to be – the UN has all these grand plans, but places like America does have the Bill of Rights. Australia has our Australian Constitution. If we become a signatory on anything, it's got to be actually tabled in Parliament 14 days before it gets signed. So we do have some measures of control on this one, but the government, they're clearly bypassing everything that the Constitution is, and they're using it by piggybacking or taking advantage of people who just don't know better. And unfortunately, that's what the Voice is.
That's right. Well, that's right. Well, by packaging it in a way that, makes it's a virtue signalling, piece of legislation and beyond, changing the Constitution, because, you're absolutely taking away the rights and you're taking away those safeguards that Parliament is supposed to give. And linking all through. I mean, the reality is we are slowly, and in fact, it's increasing at great pace, handing control of our country over to, the World Health Organization, Economic Forum as well, and NATO, which I'm a bit lost on what NATO is for. I mean, to me, I thought it was to create a border between East and West as far as USSR back in the day and all that kind of thing. Now it just seems to be a way of laundering money.
It's again, as I said some months ago, I think Australia really needs to relook at its relationship with these big international bodies. Obviously, when they were formed, different people, different time, different era, different political times. But now you've got to go, well, what is the purpose of being associated with these organisations? Now, you saw the protests when Trump pulled the pin on funding from World Health Organization, right? Wow. They just arced up big time. And the Democrats came in and said, right, we're putting back our money back into the World Health Organization. It's starting to unravel this narrative and seeing the links of who's tied in with who's doing deals with who. It was interesting this week to see certain individuals associated with the Democratic Party revealing that, there was $10 million paid into offshore accounts.
Correct.
You're starting to just join the dots.
$5 million for the big guy. Yeah, absolutely. And this is ridiculous. Literally, they are using other people's money, to, obviously fill their own pockets and that sort of thing, but also transfer wealth and control of citizens. And this is just, it's so sad to see. And it's so sad to see people stand back and be so, compliant in it.
I think a lot of people feel like they have no power to do anything about it.
But I'm going to actually steal Travis's thought on this. I think it was something along the lines of, a person once said, that I'm only one person, what can I do? Said 7 billion people, right? And that's true. This is the thing. You have to actually step up. Did I get it right, Travis?
You did get it right, but the funny thing is I actually stole one of the memes off the Edge Radio Facebook page.
Okay, there you go.
I actually put it up in the first place.
Oh, we're recycling around here. Good work. Okay, fantastic.
Share the love. Give credit where credit's due.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. All right. Well, look, let's go further into this now.
All right. The number 3 reason.
Oh, hang on. No, don't do it. No. Well, I thought we were still going on that. I want to wait for number 3 is going to be after the break. So any sort of closing thought on this particular reason?
Well, this is it. It's against the Bill of Rights in the United States. Okay. Freedom of movement is entrenched in the Constitution.
Yep.
So that's where this whole plays out. We know the United States will kick back.
I hope so.
They will fight back on this. I know they will. Yeah. I know what Americans are like. They're fighting for their freedoms of speech. I'm absolutely enjoying that one where Tucker Carlson had a real go at Fox News, his old media outlet this week, on how they have took down the what was it about the I'm trying to think of the exact title, where is he a dictator, suggesting that Biden was a dictator, and a producer got fired over that headline. Scrolling underneath the headlines.
Absolutely. And the one that disappeared very, very quickly, that one?
And then he sarcastically demonstrated how Biden is not potentially a dictator, because dictators wouldn't appear, of course, doing military on side of them with dark backgrounds, giving speeches of how Americans are bad and they're fighting for their freedom and stuff like this.
Never.
Went through this incredible speech. If you haven't seen that, please go online and
get
watch
onto that one.
It's great.
Oh, look, I haven't seen all of the episodes from Tucker on Twitter yet, but I tell you right now, they're enjoyable. Get onto those ones. Fantastic. All right, time for a quick break. Back really soon. Hang on.
One more thing on there are things before you go to a break that a lot of people, like, especially for the people who think there's not a bad thing to jump into the UN, because we do have a couple of lefties who listen to the station.
Sure.
When you did the vaccine passport, did you actually give permission to the Australian government to give you all your personal international organisation?
Okay, we lost your volume there. Did we give permission for what, mate?
To give our personal information to a international organisation.
Well, no, because I believe in the 1988 legislation, but there you go.
You know,
there was nothing in there. They were supposed to destroy all the information afterwards kept. But yet they openly admit they've still got it on record. But has anyone been asked if they give their consent to give out information to someone international?
Well, they need your consent to actually create a health record online, right? So they can share it amongst doctors. So if you go to the hospital, they've got the information that you gave your GP.
Yeah.
Now,
but that was for Australian doctors, not international health.
Well, I want to go further with that, Travis. I don't know if that's been upheld. I'm wondering how much of that information is actually protected with people who actually said, I do not consent to having a health record. Has that information actually been protected? I wonder.
Yeah, it's not, because there's already been, and there's a website, data breaches. You just Google Australian data breaches. It gives you all the data breaches from 2018 all the way up to today, and there's hundreds and thousands of them, and the Australian Health Australian Department of Health is one of them. Okay. So everyone's details, all their health records have already been leaked years ago. This has been going on for generations.
I'm one of these people who actually said no to that. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, I don't want them knowing everything. Every time I stub my toe.
Have you gone to a doctor's, Aaron?
What's that?
Have you gone to a doctor's? Have you got a medical record?
Yes, I have.
Your information's been leaked.
Even though I said no.
Yeah.
Even though I said no to them keeping records.
All the little GPs have been hacked. Like, people don't understand how often data breaches happen in Australia. There's hundreds of thousands of them here.
And that's the problem here, is the citizens really have no protection over their private information. Absolutely. And that's the big issue. So I'm saying to you, when they say, oh, yeah, we'll protect your privacy, my foot you will.
Absolutely. All right. Well, you can't be too careful with your information. That's all I've got to say. It's Edge Radio Australia, Greater Wealth, where, look, we do this great, this great collision between the finance world and the politics world and, quite frankly, ethics and, living your best life. See, it's just a big amalgamation of goodies, really.
It comes together.
It does.
Licorice all sorts, really. And we've got that today as well. We're looking at 4 ways the globalists are desperate. Coming at number 4. Can't help
Come on, mate. You've got to do it.
Who's Tedros on June 6th was talking about Howard working with the European Union. They're ready to roll out the Global Digital Health Certificate. Number 3.
Number 3 with a bullet.
Climate change ambitious goals. Now, it's come out from exposnews.com that back in 2009, there was a paper that was called The Future of Urban Consumption in a 1.5 degrees Celsius World, reporting targets for cities to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, and they were in line with the 2015 Paris Agreement ambitions. Now, this is really, really ambitious. What they want to do is they want to reduce, of course, carbon. That's been the whole thing. Now, let me just say something about carbon.
Please do.
It's been fascinating to watch a lot of the inquiries. I think it's the Senate in the United States where they do these big inquiries from experts in their fields.
Sure.
Whether it be about pharmaceuticals, whether it be about January 6th. I was watching one about climate change.
Right.
And the gentleman who was on the board, or the Senate or whatever you call it, asking the questions was a farmer as well. Okay. Congressman. I think it's congressman. And the congressman was saying, do you know how much in our entire world's atmosphere, how much carbon actually makes it up?
Hit me with the figure.
Right? There is, of all the elements in our globe, it's carbon makes up 0.04%.
Wow.
All right?
Okay.
And it's just had an increase, right?
Oh,
in the last 10 years, it was 0.03%.
Right.
And he goes on to point out that if it drops below 0.03% in carbon around the globe, plant life will die.
Is that real? Wow.
So you've got to remember, of course, us producing carbon is a good thing because the plants need it to breathe and live
and let's also
convert it into oxygen.
I'll throw something out, and I'm not a scientist, right? But, okay, if our population is growing, then perhaps that's why it's gone from 0.3 to 0.4, because guess what we're made of, mate? Carbon, right? And, exactly what you're saying as far as, for the plants to grow and flourish and for the world to work, okay, we need to be producing that carbon.
Now, he's asking all these experts, particularly in the automobile industry, how much do you think the world is made up of? And they're guessing 8%, 7%, all this, and they're way off the target. And this is what is so important about this, because These climate people are always banging on the table. We've got to reduce our emissions.
Yes.
What's the number, people?
Give us a number. Exactly.
And
give us a
none
goal.
of them can give you a number. Mm-hmm. And it's really fascinating when you hear that kind of figure. You go, okay, we have to have some carbon.
Yes.
Otherwise, plant life dies. We can't survive without plants.
And also, okay, there's the non-fair sort of playing field here, okay? If Australia just ceased to exist tomorrow, okay, China will replace us in carbon in about 2 weeks. That's, I can't remember the exact figure, but it is absolutely ridiculous, right? And with China still being classified effectively a third world country, which is just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Because of that, yeah, look, we can reduce everything. We can destroy our civilization. We can have millions of people hungry. We can absolutely destroy Australian life, and it's not going to make any bloody difference at all, right? Because the two big polluters are, let's be very, very frank here, it's China and India. The US is giving it a bit of a go as well. But even that, those figures are skewed exactly right, because the science is being, look, you're cherry picking.
So
simple as that.
Where it goes to, of course, they want to reduce carbon emissions in cattle. Okay.
Yes.
And so they're targeting farming.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we've seen this pushback in the Netherlands. It was last week's show, but what they're trying to do here in Western Australia.
For sure.
And what they're wanting to do, they're ambitious in this paper, was they wanted a progressive target in 23, 16 kilograms of meat per person per year. And that's your allotment. You can have no more than 16 kilograms per year. Their ambitious target is 0. You will not be a meat eater. All right. In terms of daily consumption of milk or derivative equivalent per person per year, the progressive target is 90 kilograms. 0 kilograms is the ambitious target. In terms of calories per day per person, 2,500 for the progressive and ambitious target. In terms of reduction of household waste, they want to do it by 50% to 0 on an ambitious target. And supply chain waste, they want to reduce it to 50% to 75%. So you look at these crazy numbers that they want to do, and then they want to reduce things in vehicle ownership. Now, this is where you're going to get interested, okay? They want to reduce ownership in this paper. 190 vehicles per 1,000 people. That's what they want people to have.
Hang on. So basically, we'll round it out. So 1 in 5. Hang on. What was the figure you just said? Sorry,
100. That's just below shy of. It's virtually 19%. Okay, of the population will have a vehicle.
So essentially, 1 person in 5 will have that is, and in countries like Australia, where transport, our own car is absolutely imperative. That is even more important.
Right? That's why they want you to be in the city, so you won't have to have.
Of course.
That. And then they want to, in terms of the optimum life, and then the ambitious target is 0 private cars.
Of course.
The optimum lifetime for a body of a vehicle is 20 years. They want the ambitious target to be 50 years, which is absolutely ridiculous when you look, and we've talked about how many more minerals it takes to produce an electric vehicle as opposed to the combustion engine.
And when the battery's gone, right, this is the thing people need to understand. An electric vehicle, certainly in this era, right, in this level of technology where we are right now, is really negative for the environment, like massively. When you talk about the lithium, when you talk about the mining, forget about the ethics of the fact that children are mining this. I mean, geez, small details. But,
Thank you, Aaron.
Cutting the crap. The fact of the matter is every single Prius has the environmental impact of 4 Corollas, right? And I'm using the Toyota equivalent. Now, okay, you are virtue signaling to, all the other Karens in the school line, but the reality is you are hurting the planet if you buy an electric car.
So in terms of movement, and you wonder if you'd actually care about an international digital passport anyway, because they want to reduce the number of flights. Right, so for a short haul return flight, less than 1,500 Ks, every 2 years per person. That's it.
Right. Okay.
Right,
okay.
And the ambitious, it's a short haul return flight. You can get one every.
They're doing a great job
every 3 years
because they're creating such a level of poverty, right? Okay, and replacing people's jobs. They won't be able to afford to fly. And the great hypocrisy of all of this, the people who are making these suggestions and pushing all these are the people, right, that literally, I watched the Monaco Grand Prix a few weeks ago, are sitting on their $1 billion yachts and their private planes and that sort of thing. These are the people who are saying, oh, listen, plebs, eat your grasshoppers and shut the hell up. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
One thing I just want to get back to the electric vehicles, how they're claiming that they replace them every 5 years or whatever.
Sure.
I was the finance manager for AHG, Automotive Holdings Groups, and the stats that they were using in the early 2000s is someone will replace their car every 2 to 3 years.
Yes. Yep. And cars these days, people, I don't know if they're aware of it, most cars are designed to last 5 years and then not be economical to repair. Now, I find this so ridiculous because we keep talking about recycling and, and I've got a drawer full of jars at home. I try and look after the environment and, do my bit, right? But you know how you can do your bit as well? Fix your car.
Buy electric vehicles.
Oh, don't even say it. But, okay, fix your car. Now, I drive a car that's far older than 5 years old, far older than 10 years old, right? I like it. I'm happy with it. It does the job for me. And when it needs repairing, guess what I do? I repair it. It's reliable. It's comfortable, all those sorts of things. We've got, look, it's intertwined with obviously consumerism and there's this wanting to keep up with the Joneses, carry on, all of that, right? But ultimately, if they are designing a car, okay, we're using cars as an example, and that kind of is my thing. You're designing a car to last 5 years, you are deliberately, right, as far as I'm concerned, damaging the environment.
Well, I got onto this some years ago, back in the 90s. I bought a Commodore VH, right?
Yep.
And
absolutely great car.
last of the chrome bumpers and that sort of stuff. And I loved it, right?
Blue motor, another one. Yep.
So I bought that. And I thought, being a young bachelor at the time, I thought I'll put some mags on this. And I had some beautiful mags that I put on this. And I took it down to the car shop. We put some nice tyres on it and those tyres lasted ages. I probably drove on them for about 3 years.
Yeah.
I took them back to the same shop and they said, yeah, they made these tyres too well. I said, what do you mean? He said, the manufacturer made them too well. They last too long. And it hit me right then. All these people going on about saving the environment. If we did, it's going to cost us too much. And we're starting to see that, right? Business is about turnover.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Now, funny enough, I'm going to give you a slight little side step on that. A VH Commodore has a built-in designed fault for that very reason. Their headlights, one of the headlights on a VH Commodore is designed to fail and actually get water damage and basically need replacing. They did that for a financial reason to keep them going. So it's been going on for a long time, and that's 40 years ago. But cars were built before that you could repair them, you could sort them all out and keep them going for years and years. And a few years ago, or 40 odd years ago, or whatever it was, they decided, hang on, we can't sell you the one car that you're going to keep for the rest of your life. We've got to get this replacement attitude into you. So it has been going for a long, long time. I find
it's just getting shorter and shorter.
It's just getting shorter and shorter and shorter and ridiculous. And as I say, for everybody who goes, professes to look after the environment or care about the environment, but keeps replacing your car, I'm sorry, you are a hypocrite.
If you want a car that lasts, like absolute seriousness, and I've seen the video from Top Gear for this, get yourself a bloody Toyota Slowlux. The diesels, the 2.8 litres, they're slow as sin, so you won't get speeding tickets. They're diesel, so they just keep running and running and running. And I can tell you now with my car Rusty, because there's more rust now than actual metal, you can't kill the bloody thing.
Now, I'm not sure.
It's 95, and it's only got 160,000 Ks on the clock. It's an absolute gem of a car, and I'm never getting rid of it. So
now, as much as I love talking about cars, this is the greater world, so we probably need to move the subject. But I will say, that engine, I've actually had one of those engines in another car, and I sold that car. So another family went on with it, 665,000 kilometres. That's looking after the environment. Not.
I spoke to a farmer who's got one, and he said this is the second time around the clock, and it still runs like.
There you go. There you go.
We're talking 2 million kilometres on this thing. So.
Edge Radio Australia. We're doing the Greater Wealth here. We've got Derek in the studio, and of course on the old Zoom right now, zooming in, or maybe he's just a bit. Who knows where he is? It's old Travis Carter. We've been talking. We've got the top 4 today. Doing the big countdown, mate. Look. Let's get right into it, Derek.
Okay, so 4 ways the globalists are desperate at the moment. We saw at number 4, who's Tedros on June 6th, was talking about how in working with the European Union, they're ready to roll out the Global Digital Health Certificate.
Yep.
We talked about climate change ambitious goals at number 3. Number 2, there's been a report come from a media group called Dexerto. Dexerto.com.
Never heard of them? Okay.
Hacker groups are reportedly teaming up to destroy Europeans' banks in world's biggest cyber attack, allegedly.
Allegedly.
There are allegedly three pro-Russian hacker groups that have allegedly joined forces to target European banks with a massive cyber attack. called Killnet, Anonymous Sudan, and Revel reportedly uploaded a video announcing their threat to take down the entire European banking system. Now, according to reports, Killnet's leaders say preparations are already underway and the attack will begin very soon. CyberKnow, a threat tracking page, also posted about the alleged upcoming attacks, adding that hackers from the three groups had joined together for this campaign. They believe they first will be to paralyze the SWIFT payment system, which is the one they do for international payments and transfers.
Right. I'm so excited about this. This is fantastic because soon all my money will be online. I mean, this is great.
Well, this is why. Go ahead, Travis.
Collecting the banks will be good, but not SWIFT bank accounts, because I know a lot of businesses in Australia that do international business. You take SWIFT out, you're destroying Australian business, not just the banks.
Yeah, okay. This is just crazy, and this comes all down to this whole digital currency carry-on. It is just...
Well, it shows the vulnerability even more, right?
Absolutely.
If you go completely digital. And, Travis has been talking about the technology that is coming in of late in terms of artificial intelligence combined with quantum computing.
Yeah.
Those kind of powers are pretty extraordinary. I've actually pulled a lot of money out of the banks. I keep very little in the accounts at the moment. So I'm not probably I'm not very popular with the banks at the moment in terms of the top priority customers, but I'm just going, look, the risks are there. So
you're not going to get their Christmas card or free toaster this year? No? Okay, all right.
No.
It is just amazing, though. I always find it amusing when banks act like they're our best friends, you know? Like, okay, this is how stupid it is. I actually have some cash that I need to pop in the bank. Okay. Now, today I'm running around like a mad chook, and I don't think it's going to get done today. You know why? Because I can't just go to my bank down the road here, because there was one. Okay. Now I've got to drive to Joondalup or Malaga. Basically, I've got a 20, 25-minute drive because I've got this folding stuff. Absolutely ridiculous. And of course, they could look at it the other way and go, well, we can save you that inconvenience. No, I would like to have control of my own funds very much. I'd like to buy something. Sometimes I want to be a bit naughty. I want to buy something that the world doesn't know about, like maybe a Whopper with cheese, heavy pickle and mayonnaise. I don't know.
Well, if you're having that sort of problems in the city, imagine if you're a farmer at Wagen and your close bank branch is like 3 hours away.
Exactly. So, now, we're going to be down Wagen, obviously, very, very soon. What date's that, my friend?
That's the 3rd of next month.
Really looking forward to being down there and actually, supporting our farms. Very big deal. All right, now.
Where does this put the European banking system? So this is interesting. So if they're targeting Europe, they're saying Killnet warned this is not a DDoS attack. These games are over. We call on all active groups to engage in destructive activity against the European banking system. No money, no weapons, no Kyiv regime. This is the formula for the death of Nazism, and it will work. They went on to add that society has not seen such problems before. You wonder who's really behind these kind of groups. These hacktivists, they call themselves. Hacktivists, you like that term?
Oh, it's fantastic.
And we've seen there's two parts to this, all right? It's come out, of course, that there were lots of finger pointing from the United States governments about fiddling in their election system by a certain nation. That it was the Russians. It was the Russians that did this and all this sort of stuff. And we're seeing the truth come out of those, that was just false.
Hang on, how long has the CIA and FBI been Russian? Not sure. Yeah.
Then we're seeing, of course, the Twitter files, right? That social media, they had direct portals from the FBI to actually monitor citizens and what they were posting on social media.
Sure.
And being able to adjust and take down and reduce on the algorithms what could populate as they determine misinformation, how they defined it.
Absolutely.
Now we're seeing, of course, we just heard about the digital rollout of passports with the World Economic Forum in cahoots with the European Union. And now we're seeing this story come out. Right, well, online cyber, let's go for, of course, the European banks. Now, who's behind that? Who are the hacktivists? Are they government-backed? Are they backed by some other organisation? Are they legitimate hacktivists? We've seen, of course, the whole Julian Assange story, where a journalist discovers these stories on governments, has dirt on them, and you could see the reaction and pushback against the governments, particularly the US wanting him.
And the US is such they always talk about the free press and freedom of speech, and the US have been the ones here who have shut down free speech. It's, again, Complete hypocrisy.
So it's really interesting in all of this context. Who is this? Whose side are these people allegedly on?
Allegedly.
Who is backing this? Where is the funding for this? Yeah, it's really, really, and why? What do they really hope? If it is true, if it is true, what do they hope to bring down the European banking system? What objective is that going to actually accomplish?
The great thing is, okay, we are genuinely seeing pushback. We talk about Brexit, that sort of thing. I mean, that was pushback against all of this kind of carry on. We just didn't, I didn't know it at the time, what was going on. We see what's been happening in Europe as far as the protests. We've seen what we've had here in Australia, the US, the Canadians, who are let's face it, the most polite people on the face of the earth. And they look at what's happening. There has got to be pushback on mass. We have to do this. We actually have to stop it. We have to take control back of our own nations. And this again, I'll keep saying it till the cows come home. We can't have this digital currency, because then they have control of us. They can close our bank accounts. They can restrict us in that way. It is absolutely imperative that people stand up. The most important word you can really learn right now is no. Okay?
Well, can you imagine if a CBDC was in play here, right?
Yep.
And these hacktivists are after reducing people's bank accounts. There's really not much. You've got the government. If these are legitimate, independent hacktivists, right?
Sure.
Because you could argue under a CBDC, the hacktivist is actually the government.
Of course.
Right?
Absolutely.
or the central bank.
Nothing to see here.
So,
hey, I want to throw another question that you guys haven't touched on this one yet. So let's say these hacktivists succeed and they do bring down the European banking system.
Sure.
What sort of impact is that actually going to cause? Because one of these days, if there's enough attempts, eventually it only takes one successful hack for it to work. So what would happen if they do actually get this to happen?
Oh, look, I don't know.
More regulation.
Yeah.
More regulation coming in. More government regulation on that. And that's...
No. So, sorry, you missed the question. So let's say the banking union is running as it is right now.
Okay.
These hacktivists get in and they shut it down. They absolutely shut down all the big major banks over in Europe. They shut down the international money transfers. They shut down PayPal. They shut down all these banking institutes internationally. What's going to happen to the everyday Joe Blow? What's going to happen to me if I head down to the shops and go pay for my fuel on my bank card?
Well, you can't. Okay, they're getting a number plate photo of your number plate, mate. The fact is, you can't. You can't pay, and then all these places who won't accept cash now. That's another issue. It's just, you are right. It shuts down now. You do that, you're stopping someone's food supply. You're taking food from a family's mouth, from the table. That's
concern that a lot of people aren't prepared for what if. And I think it's not, people have to stand up and start saying no. They've got to start going, what if this does actually happen?
Okay.
I think that's one of the big things that's really happening at the moment. People aren't prepared. Holy shit, this actually worked. They got into the banking system. What if?
Yeah, okay.
See, I know Stephen Pettis is a big fan of keeping 3 months worth of gold supply on him, like 3 months of living expenses in gold. So having those backup plans, what if shit hits the fans? What happens if it really hits fans?
Yeah, but not everyone's got not everyone's got the ability, mate, to go, grab a big chunk of gold and have it and sell everybody a slice. That's the problem, right?
But you can be right. If shit's hitting the fans, where am I going to get my food? Where am I going to get water? Can I survive without a car?
Well, that's what the preppers do. They stack.
Yes,
right? They buy an extra can of beans or whatever at the local grocery shop on top of what they would normally buy. It's not something they do overnight. It's a medium to long-term game plan. They also do that with stacking gold and silver. It's a long-term game. They just don't go, and buy 30 grand worth of silver or gold. Most people, I mean, some people would do that, but they don't advise to do that anyway because of the fluctuation in those prices. You may not get the best price when you go all in. So,
Remember, a coin of silver, a 1 ounce coin of silver is anywhere between $35 to $55, depending on what the silver price is at the time. So having the ability to start buying coins here and there, like one a month, something like that, cancel your Netflix subscription and start buying silver instead. Cancel your standard subscription and start buying extra non-perishable foods.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of things that you can do to start getting prepared for this. Yeah, you may not earn a lot of money, but that doesn't mean you can't get ready for this.
I totally agree with you. Totally agree.
So,
all right.
And
now,
I think a good point is, what if? What if someone succeeds? That's what you need to plan for here.
All right. Now it's time for Derek's Countdown.
Number 1. Coming in at number 1 this week are the 4 ways that globalists are desperate. The World Economic Forum calls for artificial intelligence to rewrite the Bible.
What the? So,
Slay News.
I bet they wouldn't do that to the Quran.
No! Oh, dear.
SlayNews.com, a top official with the World Economic Forum, has called for religious scripture to be rewritten by artificial intelligence to create a globalized new Bible. Yuval Noah Harari, the senior advisor of the World Economic Forum, and his chairman, Klaus Schwab, argues that using AI to replace scriptures will create unified religions that are actually correct. According to who, I wonder?
Yeah.
Harari, an influential author and professor, made the call while giving a talk on the future of humanity. And according to him, the power of AI can be harnessed and used to reshape spirituality into the World Economic Forum's globalist vision of equity and inclusivism. Now, what's the danger with this? Well, many fronts. But the first one's from a finance... Sorry?
It's ushering in Satanism under the guise of AI.
Yeah.
So the Bible and all the different scriptures are there because they're religious scriptures. They're not science.
So where I'm coming from is this. You look at it from a legal financials perspective, I've got the legal system.
Yep.
We're on the Judeo-Christian legal system. The 10 Commandments are the basis of all law, all right? You shall not murder.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a good law?
I think so. I'm happy with it.
You shall not steal. Is that a good one?
Yeah, win-win.
The government would listen to that
one. You shall not covet your neighbour's wife.
Absolutely.
You shall not covet their donkey, which is their property, or their house. Okay? Are they good laws?
I think so. I'm happy with them.
I like this one. Work 6 days and rest on the 7th.
I'm more with 4 and 3. Well, that's okay.
You got to remember the context. They were slaves and they didn't get a day off.
I'm completely joking.
I know. But this is the point. And people think these are restrictive. No, they were laws designed to actually protect and give you a Bill of Rights. They are the Bill of Rights.
Yes.
Bible. Now, the whole legal system in our system is based on those. So this, to me, is a direct attack against that. Family values as well.
Of course he is.
And everything that is righteous in society. And I just find it absolutely fantastic that they're now revealing their true hand. All right?
I think you're right.
And this was what excites me. This is their true intent. The true colours are now shining. And guys, you can see now how to plan and move forward and go, yep, they've gotten so big on the ego that there is just no shame. There is nothing hidden. It's just out in the open. It's in your face.
You are spot on there. This is truly evil behaviour. And when you're trying to control people's religion, people's their faith, full stop. This is again, this is far more control than financial or movement or whatever. You're getting into a person's soul. This is disgusting at every level, and it shows that they're ethically. These are broken people.
They're wanting to be God.
Yeah, well,
they want to be their own gods.
I think the term sociopath comes to mind. Yeah.
Absolutely. The term you want is Satanism. So, Derek, just because you're a pastor and not me, I know I preach to Derek all the time. It's hilarious, but yeah, I'm fairly certain one of the 10 Commandments is "Thou shalt not worship false idols."
Yes,
those are the first two. Yeah.
To me, creating the scriptures using science instead of what was truly done is creating a false idol, because people are going to worship these scriptures. They don't take these to be the words of God. These are not the words of God. These have been corrupted and mutated into something that's unholy. So the only words that, to me, this, and I'm not like a Bible backer. To me, this is just like corrupting what is holy. You don't do that shit. Full stop.
Well, there are curses in the Bible. Anyone who adds to a detractionist word is written in Revelation will have a curse upon them. So you're in dangerous territory here. Sorry, go on, Travis.
No, sorry. Like I don't normally go down the whole Bible bashing side of things, but this is bad. You already got Buddhists over in, I think it's China, where they're having a crack at all the Muslims because they kept trying to steal their organs and shit like that. Can you imagine what would happen if you use AI to start changing all the Buddhist scriptures? If you start changing Islamic scriptures, like if you thought it was some dude made a cartoon about Muhammad and they were going to try and blow up the US embassy.
Yes.
Can you imagine what happens if you turn around and take AI and try to artificially modify everyone's scriptures? Like, how stupid do you have to be? And these are the people that want to take control of the world.
Well, get this. There is now an artificial intelligence Jesus online. where people go and they ask questions to this. Now, this is how ludicrous it's getting, okay? And we've talked about the dangers of artificial intelligence, but this is getting onto Antichrist. This is getting onto real dangerous territory. If God's real, go to him direct. You don't need to use the internet.
Surely there's an app for that. Come on. Oh, and on that thought, we've got a new app. Of course, if you've got an Android, get your Edge Radio Australia app, and you can talk to Jesus at the same time. How handy is that? Now, I am very sorry to do this because we have gone over time, but this is such a subject. So even though we've gone over, I want you to use a minute, mate. Derek, let's just sum up this last point, because this is a big...
Well, the devil overplays his hand every single time.
Absolutely.
And this is what I'm loving. I'm going, now you're showing your true colours. Now it's really coming out. And I laugh because there's a, since we're talking scripture, I'm going to talk scripture if you don't mind for a moment.
Go for it.
But there's a Psalm 2, and it talks about how the wicked plot their vain thing against the righteous.
Yep.
And God sits in the heavens and laughs. He has a good belly laugh at their actions. And right now, I'm sure that this is really funny to him, because it's like, really? You think you're that good? You think that you... Mate, I don't know about you, but there's nothing I can do to take the next breath.
Right?
Yeah,
I get that.
And so if the ego gets so inflated that I think I am a god and do this crazy stuff... Mm-hmm. It's just foolishness. It's absolute foolishness.
And with that bombshell, it is the end of the show. Thank you very much for being part of it.